Gareth Thomas, Chair of the Co-op Party and Labour Co-op MP for Harrow West. Conference, banking in the city have become bywords in the public's mind for excess and scandal. Former Chief Executive of Barclays Bank, Bob Diamond, is said to have earned £120 million in his short time at the top. We've had interest rate fixing, we've seen the terrible mis-selling of bad financial products to small businesses, and the outrageous fleecing of ordinary customers through payment protection insurance. With 20,000 complaints about the banks a day in the last 6 months alone, as Ed Miliband and Ed Balls have quite rightly said, it's time for real change. Like you, we in the Co-op Party champion the ambition of a banking industry with ethics of responsibility, cooperation and stewardship at its heart. And in this United Nations International Year of the Cooperative, we celebrate the Co-op Bank expanding across the UK as an example of what's possible. But the ongoing outrage is the steady retreat from too many of our communities by Britain's biggest banks. So the businessman looking to his bank for a loan to expand, looking for the bank manager who knows the area, knows what's possible, what good investment looks like, but finding there is no such person anymore. It's just a computer and someone in a telephone call centre far away making the decision. No wonder then that bank lending has dropped every month since the election. And it isn't just businesses who suffer when bank branches close. Too many, far too many of our poorest citizens are vulnerable when a bank branch closes. The elderly woman who doesn't use the internet, wanting to go and talk through the small loan that she needs to adapt her home. Or the single parent whose debts are spiralling. As bank branches have started to close, so the government has egged the banks on. Tory ministers telling us in the House of Commons that banks have to cut costs, so branches will have to close. That's when the legal loan sharks move in. It's one of our MPs, Stella Creasy, a Labour and Co-op MP, who's led the charge on legal loan sharks. Annual interest rates can rise to over 4,000%. Home credit payday lenders charging £82 in interest and collection charges for every £100 they lend. And 4 million people are expected to take out a payday loan in the coming months. The vast majority taking out loans to cover the basics, to cover food, rent or transport costs, trying to bridge the gap between now and payday, and finding each month that the gap widens and their problem gets bigger. It's those people, isn't it, that Cameron and Osborne's policies are hitting hardest, forcing them towards the high-cost lenders because there aren't enough low-cost lenders around. Thamesmead is in south-east London. It's an area built to cope with London's housing crisis in the 1960s. It's home now to 55,000 households, and there isn't one bank branch, not one. Indeed, the nearest bank branch is 30 to 40 minutes away by bus. The legal loan sharks, though, they're thriving on Thamesmead. So we need a new commitment from the next generation of banking leaders to work in all areas, to serve all communities. And if they won't lend to some areas or have a bank branch serving some communities, then they should work with others, with community banks, with credit unions, with new mutuals, to ensure that whole areas like Thamesmead aren't cut off ever again from affordable finance. If you join the Co-op Party, you don't have to wait for 2015 and the next Labour government. You can be part of starting to deliver banking reform now. When you go into your local bank branch, ask them whether they're working with the local credit union. If you're a student, ask whether the university and the student union's banks are working with local mutuals. If you're a councillor, ask the council's banks if they're working with local community banks. And if they're not working in your community, then demand they do, or you'll move your money. We need to inject a bit more cooperation, a bit more mutuality into the way the banks do business. The biggest credit union in the United States is Navy Federal. It's a lender run by its customers, all members of the US Armed Forces, a cooperative, democratically electing its top bankers. founded by its members because soldiers returning from war couldn't get access to cheap loans. Navy Federal now has 4 million members and over $50 billion of assets, branches in every base in the US, offering a very direct and very personal service to its members. We need to be aiming for that level of success and that level of personal service for customers, cooperators and members here in Britain too. But friends, we need reform of other markets as well. In energy, the ever-rising prices, the big bonuses, the aggressive mis-selling of overblown energy deals. We need instead more community ownership of local energy. Strong, vigorous competition, not an industry dominated by a few big firms. Westmill Energy in Oxfordshire or Baywind in Cumbria are green energy cooperatives run by serious professionals offering a quality service but owned by ordinary local people. In America, 42 million people belong to energy cooperatives, so the possibilities here are considerable too. And then there's our national game. Too often football is run not in the interests of fans, it's run rather in the interests of wealthy individuals or huge corporations who own our football clubs. Slowly, in some clubs, the fans are getting more powerful. A series of clubs owned by their fans, supporters' trusts growing in stature at a number of Premier League and Championship clubs. Portsmouth is the latest battleground. Fans pushing for control, a rich former owner trying to stop. To the Football League, shouldn't we send out a signal that we believe that it's time that Portsmouth's football fans got their chance to run their club their way? In this UN International Year of the Cooperative, our new General Secretary, Karin Christensen, along with many of our excellent MPs, are working on a whole series of other policy challenges, from how to promote more co-op housing, supporting co-op councils, looking at care and childcare cooperatives. Like you too, we'll be supporting Andy Sawford, Labour and co-op candidate in Corby. We'll be backing Stephen Doughty in Cardiff South and Penarth and the excellent Lucy Powell here in Manchester Central. Conference, it's a privilege to chair the Co-op Party and it's an honour to bring you fraternal greetings from one of your closest allies. Thank you very much.